Golfers, how to hit the smallest fairway in the world. How to hit the driver straighter is the premise of this video. I'm going to share with you all the key elements to drive the ball straighter, more consistently, and to be more successful. As we all know, if we hit the ball more in play, we will shoot lower scores. So it's a no-brainer to try and understand what's key for you and for us and for me to hit this driver straighter. So for me, there's three main components in driving the ball well. Contact, where we hit it in the face, pretty obvious. The swing path or club path through the shot, and the club face orientation, in particularly in relation to that path to get the ball on fairway. To give you a bit of background, if the club face is 1 degree open on an 8-foot putt, we missed the hole. So imagine that club face being 1 degree open on a 250-yard drive. It's going to be pretty significant. Add to that the contact point that creates the gear effect and the roll and bulge of the club that makes the ball want to spin to help the ball get back on target sometimes, and also to hurt it sometimes. It can factor things even with a very good swing. So let's look at some key components in contact, in path, and in club face to become a great driver of the ball. The first thing I'd always recommend is seeing where you hit the ball out of. So I've got sweet spot spray here. So just give that a gentle covering over the club face. This will show me exactly where I'm hitting the ball out of. I'm not going to spend too much time on contact because I think it's a pretty obvious statement to say we want to hit it more in the middle. I'm going to talk about the main thing that causes people not to hit in the middle with the driver, particularly what changes from driver to iron. And we're going to talk about that. But let's just knock one away here. So my standard driver setup, make sure the ball's teed up obviously nice and high, and hit a drive. That one pretty straight, ever so slightly in the heel of the club there, so not perfect, and it doesn't have to be perfect. That one went pretty straight in flight. It started slightly left of where I aimed and probably had a tiny bit of left to right curl on it, which is where the heel strike does. You hit it in the heel like that, the ball will start left and it'll want to curl back. My first drive of the day, I would happily take that, but it wasn't perfect. So the reason why golfers tend to struggle with driver strike is mostly to do with their posture through impact. So what most golfers do compared to the iron, when they swing the driver, they tend to stand up a bit more in the backswing with a flatter plane, and on the way down, their chest and head move away from the golf ball, and that makes reaching the golf ball pretty hard. So depending on how much this happens, a lot of drivers of the golf ball will tend to hit it off the toe if they're good players, and if they're bad players, their plane will be here, and the standing up will happen, and it'll make it stop hitting out the shaft as such, and it'll make you hit it in the heel, which is the most common things we see with golfers. Good players more toe, poorer players more heel. So we need to try and feel that we tilt more with the driver is the key thing. So in the driver swing, getting a good bend from the start, a good tilted posture, feeling that then from there, left shoulder works down, right shoulder works down, and we feel quite low to the ground. And I'd also encourage you to do this. Get the club to ground out before contact about 6 or 7 inches, and just do that on your practice swings. And in order to achieve that, particularly with a lowish handle, that'll give you a feeling of where your body should be at contact in terms of your tilts. But just thinking about the shoulders working on that circle, so this way, and trying to feel that your chest is down towards the ground. The lower we are to the ground, the more the trail arm will have to bend, so more it helps us with lag as well, and trail elbow leads. So feeling that we are nice and tilted from the setup, then try and feel left shoulder down, right shoulder down. So definitely over accentuated how much tilt I had there. That one was slightly more in the center of the club. Again, as I warm up, I will find the center more because I don't normally struggle with strike too much. I struggle with other things, like we all do. But there we go. The next element we're going to look at is club path or swing direction. I like visuals for this. Everyone's different. So what I've got here is some rod setup. These ones are what we call pre-impact, and these ones are post-impact. And this one is particularly for matching the shaft up. Let me get into that in a second. So first of all, the pre and post-impact ones are essentially just simply to get the club to work in this zone and towards this zone. So to encourage you to hit it more from the inside. Again, sweeping statement, But most golfers who struggle with the path will be out to in, not too much from the inside. The very good players, if they have a fault, will be too much from the inside. But generally, most of the guys watching this will need to hit more from the inside. The more we hit from the inside as well, the more free distance we get. So these can be set up in the nature to be harder or easier or perfect. But if we can get that golf club in the downswing, feeling that it would come in that zone, exit towards this zone, and as we go through here, feel that that shaft would be on that left exit zone, that would be pretty good. We don't want the club to be over here by the golf bag too much. We do want to swing left, but it has to be on the correct plane, not driving left, swiping left. So again, just purely visuals. We want to feel, and we can use golf balls for this, tee pegs for this, golf clubs from this, whatever we want on the way down. Set this station up and think, okay, can I swing in that zone? Now and there, lovely draw, just down the left-hand side of the fairway. Probably the best one I've hit. Pretty centered hit as well in terms of contact. But all I'm using them there for is visuals. If we need to make it harder or easier, that's the tablets you take as an individual to tweak and change your golf swing to move your path however you want. If you were too much from the inside, then obviously you'd shift this to be the other side of the pre-impact and post-impact, just to feed what we need. Now, the path is created by how the body moves, how the arms move, and all those things. I've got lots of videos on this. This is really a simple look at, okay, how can we have a look at working on path? How can we look at how we work on contact? And the last thing we're going to look at is club face. So when we're looking at club face, I really want to look at how this club comes in the downswing in particular and the takeaway, those two things. What I want to see is this club face being more towards the ground in the backswing, so more parallel to the spine, and as we come down, more towards the ground. In doing that, if anything, we're going to encourage the club face to be square to closed. Now, if it's square to closed, it means we can release through the golf ball much easier. I'm also going to give you a post-impact release position to look at as well. So what I want to try and do is get the club face nice and strong and making sure it releases through the ball to get the club face pretty square. Now, we talked earlier about matching the club face to the path. Now, if I cut across the golf ball and close the face, I will hit pull shots. Most slicers will go, yes, please, I'll happily take that. Most slices of the ball, the club face is too open to the path of contact. Regardless to where it's actually pointing to, the key is it's too open. So getting that club face that closes to square up to that path is ultimately the key. If we do that, we will hit pulls or fades. And as we move the path to the right, then we'll hit straighter shots. If we move the path too much to the right and we get the club face closing, that gives us the draws and hooks. So again, feeding what we need. We can make this club face close more or open more, depending on what you need as an individual, and we try and match it to the path so we get no curvature on the ball, even if that is pulls or pushes. That's ideally what we want to do. Reduce the amount of curve and get the path nearer to perfection is what we want to look to do. So quite simply, what I would encourage you to do in the takeaway, feel that the club head faces to the ground a bit longer. In the delivery, feel the club face faces to the ground, ideally in line or slightly behind your hands, or if you've still got these rods on the ground, matching the rod there. And as we swing through, hands roughly on this rod as we've talked about already, but the butt of the club would now want to face the golf ball, and that would show that we've released these arms correctly. So the arms rotate to release the club. It's not a flapping of the wrists, it's a rotation of the arms, a connection between the arm and body. But the butt of the club at the ball is a great simple checkpoint to look at to see if you've released the club efficiently. So what I'd encourage you to do, step to a golf ball, rehearse the takeaway to the top, rehearse the downswing, butt of the club to the golf ball, then go and hit a golf ball, try and feel you're going to go through those positions. Tiny, tiny, tiny draw, slightly hit it probably low heel. Can't see next I've hit so many shots, but in general you'll see there from all the drives I've hit doing this video, the contact point is pretty consistently, let's call it center-ish. So those are the three key elements to drive the ball well. Get a better contact, manage that with your posture tilt, get the club in the, let's call it more orthodox path, whether it be slightly out to in or slightly in to out. I'd want to just work on making it more orthodox, basically whichever tendency you have. I'll try and get that club face stronger and get it releasing. That'll help reduce any fades or slices you might have and give you more draws. Again, if you already draw the ball, then we could look at holding off that release and getting the club face a bit more open, but I'd still have it nice and strong in the backswing and downswing, and then more passive on the way through. Give that a go to hit the world's smallest fairway.